Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the offices of Hold My Nuggets Incorporated for your 2019 NFL Week 5 post-game analysis show. I am the host, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. Now, you may be asking yourself, why is it that I'm wearing a Jerry Rice San Francisco 49ers jersey when I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan? Well, first and foremost, Jerry Rice is one of my favorite players of all time. But I lost a bet with the fan show leading up to week 3, when the Pittsburgh Steelers took on the San Francisco 49ers. We made ourselves a bet. Whoever's teams lost, you would have to wear the jersey of the team that won. And you see me standing here with a 49ers jersey on. The Steelers let me down. You need to be the pallbearers at my funeral so you can let me down one more time. Well, you got me wearing this, man. You got me wearing this. Although I wear it with no shame. I'm actually having this jersey now, or I should say shirt, whatever the case is, makes me want to own at least one piece of apparel from every single team. I already have a Lions jersey. The very first jersey I ever had in my life was a Charles Rogers jersey. Why did my parents buy it for me? I have absolutely no clue. But it's here. I don't think I'm going to find myself buying another Lions jersey. Well, then again, that's a lie. I want a Barry Sanders jersey or a Calvin Johnson jersey. I'll go and get that. But every single team, I want to go and get myself a jersey of every single one, regardless of how I feel about them. So, yeah, probably in the future, I'll have myself what's the word? Rolodex? I'll have myself a little bit of a closet of just jerseys. And every single team, I'm going to have one of each one. But nonetheless, let's break down exactly what happened in week 5. Week 5 had some exciting games. Back-to-back weeks, we've had a very good Thursday night football game. And this week kicked it off with the Rams taking on Seattle in Seattle. And we saw Seattle win 30-29. Greg Zuerlein Legatron let the Rams down at the final seconds. Could not connect on what should have been the game-winning field goal. First and foremost, let's break down this. Russell Wilson is the first leading candidate for the MVP this season. I don't care what nobody says. All right? The second for me is Run CMC. Outside of that, you can mix and match whoever you have from 3 down to 10 in the polls. But right now, it's Russell Wilson, it's Christian McCaffrey. That's just the way I see it. Russell Wilson, 268 yards on the day, 4 TDs, 17 to 23. Chris Carson, 118 on the ground. They were playing football, man. They were out here playing football. And I don't know if you heard the news or not, but earlier today, I believe Adam Scheffler was speaking with Tyler Lockett. Turns out this man's a virgin. I had no clue. He's never busted a nut, but he's busting coverages. He's playing sensational for a man who is abstaining himself from courtal appointments with these harlots. He's waiting for marriage, and I give kudos to you. You are a better man than most of the people out here. All right, I'd say you're a better man than me, but there's no reason for me to go and state that. We already know that. As for the Rams, all right, Todd Gurley, 15 carries, 51 yards in a TD. This man was virtually non-existent. Once again, a lot of people are asking, well, they shouldn't have paid Gurley. He's never going to be 100% again. The tendonitis is kicking his buttocks. Well, yes and no. But I'd say give him some time. You never know how things will play out. The Rams were down. They came back. Jared Goff, for the most part, played all right. Gerald Everett had 7 catches, 136 yards, but the drop on their second-to-last drive that went right through his hands. What happened to my hands? Intercepted by the Seahawks on a sensational catch, but they didn't turn that possession into anything. They ended up giving it back to the Rams. They drove back down the field, and like I said before, Greg Zuerlein missed the field goal. Cooper Kupp showing why he's one of the better receivers in the league, having that 117 yards and that TD on 9 catches. He did his job, but ultimately, Seattle was able to walk away with that W. And I'm telling you guys, man, you better watch out for the Seattle team. They coming. They can play exceptional football. Pete Carroll is coaching his buttocks off, all right? His gluteal cleft is on display every single week with him coaching. I honestly think the NFC West is going to be the most interesting division in football this year. All right, so watch out for those 3 teams, whether it be the Rams, whether it be the 49ers, whether it be the Seattle Seahawks. Those guys can play football, all right? Granted, a lot of people are still having question marks about the 49ers. Where do we see them going down the line? Have they faced a real test yet? But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Next, and might I add, Seattle Seahawks had 35 minutes of total possession, all right? If you keep the ball out of the hands of a dynamic offense, that's how you win football games. This is going to be a staple in this video today, time of possession. Next, the Jaguars taking on the Panthers. This was a very interesting game, all right? Because Christian McCaffrey rubbed his nutsack all over the Jags defense. And I believe this is the 4th or 5th game fourth of the first 5 games of the season for the Panthers, in which he's been over 100 all-purpose yards. Outside of that game against Tampa, he's played pretty much mistake-free football. I think he's went over 100 yards every single time, with the exception of running for 97. I think it was 2 weeks ago. But no, it was maybe last week. Whatever the case was. He had 176 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, 6 catches for 61 yards through the air. This man, 237 yards all-purpose. The Jags could not stop him. But they fought back. The Jags fought back. You had Leonard Fournette with 25 carries for 104 yards and a TD. And then Minshew at 26 for 44, 374 yards and 2 TDs. They just came up short. On that final drive, they had like 3 attempts at a Hail Mary because there was a ton of penalties that happened. But the Jags continued to fight. Something about this Minshew kid, man. I like him. I like his tenacity. I like that sort of bravado that he plays with. And he never gives up. He's one of those quarterbacks when you watch like, oh, he's really out there giving 110% every single play. Dude, his back is against the wall. He might get himself a job somewhere, man. When Nick Foles comes back, Minshew, granted he's a rookie, he's going to still stick with the Jags. But if he gets an opportunity to play, I'd like to see him start a football game, you know, down the line for some organizations out there. He's going to be a solid backup, but there's something about this kid. I like the way he plays football. But ultimately, the Panthers came away with the W. This upcoming week, rematch against the Bucs, and I'm excited for that game. I'll talk about it in my next video. I'm going to post later tonight. I'm going to be wearing the exact same thing because I'm recording it right after this. Now, next, the Cardinals taking on the Bengals. The Cardinals got their first W of the season. I told you guys that would transpire. Then what transpired in the game? Kyler Murray, are you bigger than a 5th grader? Rubbed his nutsack all over the Bengals defense. He ran for 93 yards his doggone self. Threw for 253 yards, no TDs there. And also, you had David Johnson ran for 91 yards himself. All right, finally got himself going and had 65 yards through the air. He had over 100 yards or 140 yards all purpose. Man finally showed up and played football. All right, and for the Bengals, well, Mixon had 91 yards, but outside of that, it was pretty much, that was it. All right, they came back from behind. Tyler Boyd had a very good game. I believe the Cardinals were up 23-7. It was something in which the Bengals were completely down. They scored back-to-back touchdowns, tied it up, and then Zane Gonzalez put it through the uprights and won the Cardinals their very first game. These were just 2 bad teams that were going at it, but the Bengals consistently find a way to at least fight. Let me not say consistently, but they can at least fight. They'll put up a fight. In this upcoming week against Baltimore, I expect them to do that because these games are always good. Baltimore, Cincinnati, I don't know what it is. Those games are always good. The AFC North games are always good. Outside of just Cleveland playing against Pittsburgh, every other team, well, Cleveland and the Bengals as of late, but those games are always competitive. Wherever the Ravens play somebody inside the division, it's always a good game. Always a good game. But ultimately, Cardinals came away with this W. The Bengals dropped to 0-5. Texans taking on the Falcons. Deshaun Watson, 26 yards through the air, 5 TDs, 28 for 33. Man was efficient with a capital E. He had as many incompletions as he had touchdowns. That says something. Will Fuller activated his dreadlock powers. What did I tell you? Chronicles 13 verse 7. Can't stop, won't stop. The Lord our God has dreadlock. Will Fuller, 14 catches, 217 yards, 3 TDs. Wild, man. DeAndre Hopkins didn't even have to make his presence felt because everybody else around them are playing good football. More importantly, Deshaun Watson was not sacked. That O-line protected him. Finally, this man has a game in which he does not get sacked. When you don't touch Deshaun Watson and he has that protection, you'll see your team put up 53 points. Might I add, they had a pick 6 at the end. Now, for the Falcons, a lot of people are wondering, how the hell is this team 1-4? You got Julio Jones, you got Mohamed Sanu, you got Calvin Ridley, you got Devontae Freeman. Well, I don't think they have Devontae Freeman because this man doesn't even have 150 yards on the ground in the past 5 games to start out this season. Ridiculous, abysmal performance. As a 7, as a 8, as a 9 to have Devontae Freeman on your fantasy team. This man is playing like hot garbage. 30 yards. 30 yards on the ground. You can't win football games like that. You cannot win football games like that. You have to establish the rush. Matt Ryan is a very capable quarterback. He is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. However, If you make your offense one-dimensional, you're not going to be able to win football games. Because if teams know, oh, well, Matt Ryan just going to drop back to pass every single time, yeah, let's just blitz him. Matt Ryan ain't one of those people to evade the rush. It's why every time you see the rush run towards him, they get to him. Guys are not getting open. Julio Jones, 3 catches, 42 yards. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable. Terrible. The Falcons got to step it up, man. And Matt Ryan fought his ass off to try to bring this team back. All right, they cut it down to, I think it was an 8-point deficit. It was 40-32, and then the Texans scored, and they had the pick 6. If I'm the Falcons, I'm looking to move on from Devontae Freeman, man. I need to go find myself a running back. Tevin Coleman just balled on Monday night. So you better go and get somebody who can go and run the football, because I don't know what's going on with the dreadlock piles of Devontae Freeman, but it's not being activated. Somebody need to go talk to him in Atlanta. I don't know what's going on. Atlanta need to turn this sumbitch around. 1-4, that's terrible for a team this talented. And I recognize defensively they got some injuries, losing the Keanu O'Neal, losing those other guys that's there, but something's got to give. That defense got to step up. That running game's got to step up. And Dan Quinn is going to fall into that same boat as Mike Tomlin. As those two coaches that are very capable, but where their expertise is, being defense, continues to fail. It's only a matter of time before the fans start to turn on Dan Quinn and say, oh, we need a new coach. We need a new coach. We need to get rid of this man. When all actuality, he's been coaching his ass off for the most part, but he continues to be let down. And sometimes he underperforms. So the Falcons, you got to look in the mirror and figure out what sort of football team you want to be. But the Texans took the W 53-32. Next, the Bucs taking on the Saints. This game, Teddy Bridgewater absolutely showcased why he used to be a Pro Bowl quarterback with did I say portable? He used to be a Pro Bowl quarterback with the Minnesota Vikings. And damn it, Teddy Bridgewater got his confidence back. 4 TDs, all right? Threw 4 TDs on the day. 26 for 34, 314. All right, on the ground, Alvin Kamara, he did his thing. He didn't go over 100. All right, I think he had about exactly 100 all-purpose yards, if I'm mistaken or not. Michael Thomas, 11 catches, 182 2 TDs. Sensational. Sensational performance. All right, but the way they won this game was the way that they shut down Mike Evans. 0 catches. 0. Offensively, he did nothing. Defensively for the Bucs, Shaquille Barrett has been killing people all season. This particular game, I think he had 2 tackles. 0 quarterback hits. Completely nullified him. The 2 X factors, Mike Evans, Shaquille Barrett, nullified. Sensational job from Sean Payton. Sensational job. Because they took away that one thing that has been aiding the Bucs, and when you nullify that D-line, oh, that secondary becomes a liability. And you saw that when, oh, Teddy Bridgewater, there's Michael Thomas. Oh, there's Jared Cook. Oh, there's Teddy again. He found his people. Touchdowns, man. They took care of business, and I'm excited for Teddy Bridgewater. He's got his confidence. He's playing exceptional football. A lot of people are saying, well, could he be the guy who takes over for Drew Brees after Drew Brees finally retires? Well, who knows? I hope so. But if he keeps playing football like this and he has a decent sample size, somebody going to offer him some money. And ultimately, if they're offering you those big bucks to go play football and start for an organization, hey, get up out of here and go, man. Go get your stuff. I wish you the best. It's similar to what happened with Nick Foles. But then again, we ain't see Teddy Bridgewater take a team to the Super Bowl and ultimately win it. But we ain't talking about that right now. From where we seeing Teddy Bridgewater play, great football. As for the Bucs, they fought back, but they just were out of time. If I'm them, I got to figure out a way to get Mike Evans the ball. Because when last time we saw him play against the Giants and he had those 3 TDs, you get him the ball early, you get him the ball often, your team can be extremely dynamic offense. Get that man the football. But good victory for the Saints. Next, the Giants and the Vikings. Vikings rubbed their nutsack on the Giants like I told you they would. All right, Dalvin Cook over 100 yards once again. Kirk Cousins, Kirk family member, was able to go and find Adam Thielen. He had 7 catches, 130 yards, 2 TDs. Cook had 21 carries, 132 on the ground. Kirk family member, 22 for 27, 306 yards, 2 TDs. Sensational masterclass performance from the Vikings. Masterclass performance. Daniel Jones only had that 1 touchdown pass in the second quarter, and outside of that, the Giants did nothing. I believe at that point the score was 17-10. And then the second half, the Giants did virtually nothing. I think they threw 2 interceptions. Daniel Jones threw 2 interceptions, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe 1. Whatever the case was, the Vikings, they rubbed their nutsack on the Giants. Nothing else that could be said. The Giants, they're playing against the Patriots on Thursday Night Football coming up tomorrow. I'm excited for that game. Whether Saquon plays or whether Saquon doesn't play, I think the Giants will put up a fight for a half. They're going to put up a fight for the first half, and guys going to be like, whoa, wait a minute, could this be and then the Patriots going to take over because Tom Coughlin's not there. And if they had Saquon Barkley, I think I would put the woo-woo upset alert. But I'll talk about it a little bit more in depth next video. Man, the Bucs, the Bears, taking on the Raiders in London, where the Raiders came away with the W. Those Gruden grinders, 24-21. Let me first say this: the Raiders jumped out to a 17-0 lead. Everything was operating, firing on all cylinders. All right, up 17-0. You had a great play from Derek Carr. He was 229 yards. Josh Jacobs, 123 yards or 125. I can't really see what sort of number I put there. 2 TDs. All right, but the Bears came back. Fought all the way back. 21 unanswered points. Then the Raiders marched down the field. What happened? Davis had an opportunity to run it into the end zone, and he fumbled right at the 1. It would have been a walk-in, go-ahead touchdown. He fumbled. But then what happened with the Bears? They did nothing with the football. Derek Carr leads a 13-play, 92-yard, 6-minute drive, and then the Raiders regained the lead. Sensational game. Sensational game. I love the way the Raiders play. They got that bravado that John Gruden was searching for in this team. More importantly, Khalil Mack was a non-factor. He had that fumble recovery, but outside of that, he did absolutely nothing. Don't call me. Gruden's calling me, talking about, did you mention Khalil Mack? He's not a Gruden grinder. Let's not talk about Khalil Mack. I'm sorry, Gruden. I can't answer the phone. I'm recording right now. Now, with the Bears, you had 2 terrible interceptions from Chase Daniel. The second one, where there was about 1 minute and 20-some seconds left, he threw the ball targeting, I believe it was Miller, into triple coverage, and overthrew him. Where were you going with the football? Why? What was that? It was a terrible pass. And that's all on him because he's the one who made the read. That was a terrible pass. The Bears, they had all of the momentum in the second half. Ultimately, when the Raiders had that long drive for 92 yards and took the lead, I thought the Bears could possibly march down the field and probably even it up to go to overtime. But that pass from Daniel was bad. I was shocked that he threw that ball. It's a triple coverage and overthrew. Victory for the Raiders. Great W for those Gruden grinders, dancing their way off for 1 week into their bye week. Next, the Jets taking on the Eagles. Necrophilia. The offense doesn't even have to be mentioned for the Eagles. 10 sacks from the defense. 2 INTs. 1 pick six. 1 fumble return that was stripped out of the hand of Falk and taken in Falk and into the end zone by, I believe it was Orlando Scandrick. That defense, come on, man. That's assault. In about 20 years, everybody on that Jets offense going to start accusing the Eagles defense like, yo, you harassed me back in the day, yo, hashtag me too. It was bad. It was bad. Eagles took care of business. The Jets, Sam Darnold's coming back. There's a bright spot. Outside of that, necrophilia. Get the condom out of your anus. Because the Eagles took care of business. They were dead. But somehow, they found a way to still get fucked. Next, the Bills taking on the Titans. Carlos Santos. You missed 3 field goals. You got 1 block. This game ended 14-7. 14-7. Let's just block field goal. That's a wash. 9 points left on the board. That's a W for the Titans. But it didn't happen. Bills took care of business. All right, now, Tennessee allowed 5 sacks, right? So they did not block for Mariota whatsoever. Derrick Henry only had a 17-yard run outside on that touchdown drive where he ended up scoring. Outside of that, he had 19 carries for 51 yards. That's it. He ended with 70, I think it was like 67, something like that. But outside of that 17-yard run, he did nothing. Nothing. That offense was virtual. Hey, we get in the field goal range. Let's send out Santos. He'll kick it through the... Nah, that didn't happen. Santos ultimately cost them this game because the Bills weren't doing anything offensively. I think this was their first game this season where they didn't rush for over 100 yards as a collective. Josh Allen, he passed for a couple of touchdowns, but it wasn't as if you felt his presence all game. Tennessee lost this game more than Buffalo won this game. And the only person you can put the onus on is Carlos Santos. He lost you this game. He lost you this game. This is one of those games where you say, yo, our goddamn kicker. Now, there's an amalgam of reasons as to why they lost, but you didn't protect for Mariota. But when he got sacked and everything, you were in field goal range, and this man just happened to miss. And now you go out there and you sign Cody Parkey. What are you guys doing? But good victory for the Bills. Moving on to 4-1. Playing good football, man. Next, the Pats and the Redskins. You know, they had them in the first quarter. The Redskins were up. It was up 7-6. And then somehow Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy came around, and the necrophilia started in the nation's capital because the Redskins were dead, but somehow they were still getting fucked. I think their skin is red because the blood coming out of their anus. It was bad. Looked like they had hemorrhoids. These dudes, worst team in the league. One of the worst teams in the league. It's them, Miami, Cincinnati. It's just bad. Bad. You started Colt McCoy. When I first saw it on the ticket, Colt McCoy was starting. I thought they were starting a gun. I'm like, why the hell are you going to start a Colt 45 at quarterback? But I see it's Colt McCoy. I didn't even know he was in the league. Him and Mark Sanchez undefeated. They got a job somehow. Sanchez retired, so now we know he gone. I had no clue Colt McCoy was on a roster at all. At all. I didn't see this man play exceptional football since he was hooking horns in Texas. He had that one game when he was playing with the Browns against the Patriots. I think it was like in 2010. Sensational game. But we ain't talking about that right now because it's 9 years later and he stunk up the joint. All right, Colt McCoy had 119 yards in the INT. Let's just look at what transpired for the Patriots defense, all right? Because that's what ultimately won them this game. Brady threw for 348 yards, 3 TDs. Shoney Michel ran for 191 yards, 1 TD. And Edelman had 8 catches, 110 yards for 1 TD. But that defense, let's just look at this real quick. 6 sacks. They held the Redskins to 9% on third down. 9% on third down. Got them completely off the field. 220 yards. That's atrocious. Atrocious. That's one of them games when you play against somebody on Madden and it's on easy mode and you win like 76-2 and you look at the stats of the team you played against. That's what the hell it looked like for the Redskins. Terrible. You just fired Jay Gruden. You need to fire Snyder and get rid of the entire front office. They need to blow up that entire front office and get other people, get some new people in there. I heard them talking about, yo, we're interested in Mike Tomlin. I'll make a separate video about that, addressing Pittsburgh Steelers fans about the Mike Tomlin situation. But we ain't talking about that right now. We talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, pardon me. We talking about the Washington Redskins taking that L to the New England Patriots, moving on to 5-0. One of the only 2 undefeated teams in the NFL. Broncos and the Chargers go. That's not what happened on Sunday. Chargers did not have Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was nowhere saying, and now go Chargers, go. He was saying, and now lose Chargers, lose. Because nobody's phones was getting charged. Everybody's phone was there. Because Denver Broncos, we ride horses. We don't need no GPS. So if my phone die, I don't care. I don't need no charger. And that's exactly what it looked like. Phillip Rivers, 2 interceptions, crucial interceptions. Cortland Sutton had 2 touchdowns, and he had, I think it was a 70-yard touchdown. Philip Lindsay ran over 100 yards, 15 carries, 114. Took care of business. The defense shut down Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers could do nothing. All right, Melvin Gordon finally got an opportunity to play. 12 carries, 31 yards. That's not going to be able to cut it. Austin Eckler was the, Eckler was the leading receiver. Keenan Allen only had 4 catches for 18 yards. It's not going to cut it. You're not going to win football games like that. The Chargers got to play better. Bottom line, man. Bottom line. Too much talent to underperform the way that they perform. Next up, Packers taking on the Cowboys. Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones had diarrhea all over the Cowboys defense. If you take a sniff of that Cowboys uniform, you're smelling the waste of Aaron Jones. 107 yards, 4 TDs, 7 catches, 75 yards. He led them in rushing and in receiving. No Devontae Adams. Jimmy Graham was pretty much a non-factor. Aaron Jones. Aaron Rodgers didn't even need to do anything. Aaron Jones. You went into this game like, yo, this man had 1 game against the Vikings, and that was pretty much it. Everything else has been relatively abysmal. who you wanted to beat you. Rodgers did not have to do nothing. Cowboys was down 31-3 and had to play catch up. And they started to play catch up. They started to actually come back. Dak threw 3 interceptions. One of them off the hands of Cooper. What happened to my hands? That one wasn't his fault. But the other 2, terrible. There was, I believe the third one that was intercepted by King. That should have been pass interference on the defense, or at least illegal hands down the field. Whatever the case was, no, I don't think the name is illegal hands down the field. I believe it's pass interference. Whatever the case was, should have been called. It didn't get called. Referees didn't see it. But 3 picks from Dak, bad. But 463 yards on the day, right? 2 TDs started to lead them back. Ezekiel Elliott had 12 carries for 62 yards in the TD. That's terrible. However, when you're behind, you can't just go out there, let's run the football. You got to be able to pass. So I understand why Ezekiel Elliott did not get those touches. Although early on, I would like to see this man, if you're going on a 6-play drive and you're forced to punt, I'd like to see Zeke touch the ball at least 3-4 times. Get the ball in this man's hand. It seemed like that Kellen Moore's really trying to play through Dak. I wouldn't want to go and do that. You got Zeke back there. Feed him. Amari Cooper, 11 catches, 226 yards in the TD. Philip Gallup had 7 catches. Is his first name Philip? I don't know. I know his last name is Gallup because he was galloping in the end zone. 7 catches, 113 yards, and a TD. Brett Maher missed 2 field goals. At the end of the second quarter, going into halftime, he misses one for 54 yards, wide. Then he misses 33 yards to possibly cut the deficit to 1 score in the fourth quarter. Abysmal performance. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. The Cowboys underperformed. Their defense completely let them down. Aaron Jones rubbed his nutsack all over their organization. And once again, Aaron Rodgers showing why the Cowboys is a little bit of female dogs in the household of Green Bay. Because they're Green Bay's bitches. Bottom line. Next, the Colts taking on the Chiefs. Frank Reich needs to get an award for coaching his ass off this particular game. Jacoby Brissett, he played all right. He didn't do too much. All right, Jacoby Brissett had 151 yards and an INT. Great interception by Tyrann Mathieu. But 4 sacks from the Colts defense getting to Mahomes. They didn't allow a sack themselves. 37 minutes of possession. Kept the ball out of the hands of Mahomes. Because when you have the ball in the hands of a dynamic offense, they're dangerous. This particular game, they ran the football. Marlon Mack, return of the Mack. It is return of the Mack. Come on. 132 yards on the ground. Sensational masterclass performance from the Colts. And this was the difference between them and the Tennessee Titans. They lined up for 4 field goals. Adam Vinatieri knocked all 4 through. Carlos Santos lined up for 4 field goals. He missed all 4. That's the difference. Because when you play football in which you can't get into the end zone, you got to be able to connect on your field goals. And that's why the Colts were able to come away with the W. Patrick Mahomes, the last 2 games, got 1 TD. He threw for 321 yards. On the ground, they only had 36 yards rushing as a collective. That's terrible. You got to be able to run the football. Travis Kelce only had, I think it was a 24-yard catch on the second to last drive. Outside of that, he did nothing. On the day, he had 4 catches for 70 yards, but really about 3 catches for like 40-something. He was a non-factor. When you got to turn to Pringles and Byron Pringle is your leading receiver, you're going to have a bad time. McCole Hardman had that 1 catch. Outside of that, they did nothing. Masterclass performance from the Colts. They took care of business. I was not expecting them to walk into Kansas City and walk out with their W. They proved me wrong. Colts fans, holy smokes. That offensive line, I wish they were here year-round for Andrew Luck. I really wish they were because this team could be something special. Jacoby Brissett is very good. He's good. He just needs to take it to that next level. But damn it, I loved watching the Colts play football on Sunday Night Football. That was magnificent. Now, the Browns taking on the 49ers. Necrophilia. Let me just say this. Baker Mayfield, what did I tell you guys? He's going to crumble under the pressure coming into the season. I told you guys this because they're going to have him rated way too high. People had him as an MVP candidate. They had him listed as already a top 10 quarterback. What did we see? 3 out of the 5 games thus far this season, Baker has stunk up the joint. 8 for 22, 100 yards, 2 INTs. Terrible. Don't tell me nothing about, oh, well, the offensive line's not protected for him. Oh, you got no time back there. Deshaun Watson been running for his life damn near the last 2 seasons. And he's still been able to put up good numbers. I don't want to hear nothing. And Baker Mayfield's got better pieces. Now, does the play calling need to be called into question? Absolutely. But you cannot sit over here and absolve Baker Mayfield for his abysmal performances. Nick Bosa owned this man last night. owned this man, or 2 nights ago, because this is Wednesday night. Then, Nick Chubb, outside of that 37-yard run, 15 carries for 50 yards. That 16th carry got him that long run. Ridiculous. Abysmal performance. It's about to cut off. I caught it this time. But I'll tell you who did catch nothing. Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham. They didn't catch a doggone thing. They didn't get open. And when they were open, Baker didn't get them the ball. In combined, they had 6 catches for 97 yards? No, Jarvis had 4 catches, 75 yards. Odell had 2 catches, 27 yards. So 6 catches for 102 yards? Come on. Come on. These guys are far too capable of putting up monster numbers and them having nothing. You start off the game with a gadget play. Oh, we're going to have Odell throw the ball to Jarvis. All right, great. Did it translate into any points? Not at all. You got to play better football. Bottom line. Now, as for the 49ers, masterclass performance. Matt Breida, 83-yard run to get the game started. Tevin Coleman, 97 yards on the ground. He had a touchdown of himself. Jimmy Garoppolo protected the football. The Browns did nothing. Nothing at all. Defensively, Nick Bosa, as I said, he rubbed his nutsack all over that Browns offensive line and Baker Mayfield. I believe he had 5 quarterback hits. He had 2 sacks, forced fumble recovery. This man owned it. Richard Sherman used his dreadlock powers, catching interceptions. The 49ers owned this game. Bottom line, bar none, there was nothing the Browns could have done to one. If I'm the Browns, I'm looking at the offensive coordinator. I'm looking at Freddie Kitchens. I'm looking at Baker Mayfield. And I'm trying to figure out why the hell we not running the offense through Nick Chubb. These guys are going out there and they're trying to cater to Odell. They're trying to cater to Jarvis. They keep trying, let's go run through Baker and throw the football and win. Don't do that, man. Don't do that. You got a beast in the backfield. Give the ball to Nick Chubb. Run the offense through him. You run the offense through him, you have an opportunity to win games like you did see them win a big game against Baltimore. But the way I'm seeing it right now, Baker Mayfield's stinking up the joint. Well, nobody's threw more passes in the last 21 games besides Ben Roethlisberger and Patrick Mahomes. Well, nobody's thrown more interceptions and turned the football over more than Baker Mayfield. Nobody's thrown more picks. Nobody's fumbled more outside of, I think it was Jared Goff or whatever the case was. He's got to play better football. Bottom line. And last but not least, we'll talk about another team in the AFC North, or a battle in the AFC North, with the Ravens taking on the Steelers, where the Ravens walked away with a 26-23 win in overtime. Let me first say this. Lamar Jackson was pretty much held in check when it comes to passing the ball. He had 3 interceptions. Mason Rudolph was playing a very good football game that ultimately got knocked out by Earl Thomas. As I said in my post-game recap on Sunday regarding that particular game, I don't want to hear nothing about, it was a dirty hit, all this other stuff. Earl Thomas is like 5'10". Mason Rudolph is 6'5". He's trying to go make the tackle and hit the strike zone. I don't want to hear nothing about that. As for the interception for Devin Bush, it was bullshit. It should have been called an incomplete pass. But roughing the passer against Pittsburgh, that should have never even been called a roughing the passer. It was a regular sort of hit. So both teams ended up getting screwed by the referees. I believe both teams ended up having 11 penalties on the day. Terrible job from the officiating crew. One of the worst officiated games I've watched this particular season. James Conner got himself into the end zone, but outside of that, I think he had 51 yards on the ground. Abysmal performance. Juju Smith-Schuster, 7 catches, 75 yards. He did his thing for the most part. 35-yard touchdown, and when he broke a tackle to go into the end zone. But ultimately, Marlon Humphreys got him because he gave him the Falcon punch, and he fumbled in OT. After Mike Tomlin trusted that defense and deferred after winning the toss. And I'm hearing a ton of people talk about, well, Mike Tomlin's stupid. When you win in overtime, just take the ball. Well, guess what? He gave the ball to the Ravens. The defense stopped them. And then Pittsburgh got the ball. So I don't want to hear nothing about this man's decision. That defense went out and they took care of business. Bottom line, you can't put that on Tomlin. It worked. It literally worked. Because look at it like this. Let's just say Pittsburgh took the ball. And they went out there and said, all right, we're going to have our offense first. If the fumble happens, are we now going to say, oh, wow, he's stupid. You should just let the defense go out there. They would have made some. You can't. Well, you're damned if you do. You're damned if you don't. Ultimately, the punch got happened from Humphreys to Juju, and that was all she wrote. A bunch of people out here blaming Juju, talking about he should have went straight to the floor. That's stupid. You just watched this man break a tackle to go into the end zone earlier in the game. You watched this man be one of those players who's one of the better receivers after the catch. Why would you mentally say catch it and go to the ground? That's stupid. That's stupid. Should he not have fumbled? Absolutely. But once he caught it and immediately turned around, Humphries was there and punched it out. Well, you got to know your awareness, all this stuff. You don't know what a defender is. High and tight. He literally just turned. It's not to absolve him from fumbling the ball because he still needs to be able to, protect the football. But damn, give credit where credit is due. The defender is in the National Football League. One of the problems I have with fans, period. Now, I recognize I kind of went on a tangent, going a little bit of a rant. But one of the issues I have with sports fans, period, is they completely disregard the fact that the person who makes a play on your favorite player or makes a play on your favorite team happens to also be in the National Football League. If Chris Sims is playing against Tom Brady and Chris Sims throws for 4 touchdowns, you're like, yo, how did he do that? He's a bum. Well, he's in the National Football League for a reason. People play football. There's reasons why you don't see somebody like a Zeke, a Gurley, Chris McCaffrey run for 150 yards every single game. Are you one of the best running backs in the league? Without question. However, there's a defense that's also in the National Football League, and they get paid to stop you. And sometimes they do. You can't win every battle. Hence why you can see Tom Brady throw for 3 touchdowns this week and throw for no touchdowns against Buffalo. Well, there's better defenses, there's better this Papa John's. No, I understand it. Yes, people in the National Football League. Give credit where credit is due. But ultimately, Baltimore came away with the W. And once again, just like what we saw with the Colts, when you find yourself in field goal range, you got to have a kicker who could put it through the uprights. And Justin Tucker did that. 4 field goals, ultimately getting that field goal for the win. Unlike Tennessee, Carlos Santos, 4 field goals, 0 for 4. A lot of people are wondering, is Carl Santos the Nick Folk for this season? Without question. He just lost his job every week. You're going to be hearing from me. But that has been your 2019 NFL Week 5 post-game analysis show. I have been the host, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. I'm going to be back here, I want to say tonight, but I think I'm going to post a Hold My Nuggets podcast tonight. So most likely tomorrow morning, I'll post the pregame analysis show. I'm about to record it right after this, so I'm gonna be wearing the exact same fit. So if he wearing the same clothes, I told you, you ain't watched the first video. You ain't watched the post-game analysis show. You exposed. If you see somebody comment in the comments saying, why are you wearing the same clothes? You go in there, you just type, you big dummy, and when they respond, don't say nothing later. Don't say nothing back at them. Just right, you big dummy. They say something about, why are you wearing that jersey? In the pregame analysis show, if you watch this to the end, you make sure you come, you big dummy, and I'm gonna go look, I'm gonna comment, you big dummy as well. We're gonna be in unison. It's gonna be like a fist pump from beyond the internet. Just like that. But as I said, I'm headed back to the Shadow Realm. Back to the Shadow Realm. I'll see you guys in the morning.